I want you to look at the man in this photo, the man I married. His name is Michael, and he was the reason I walked away from the most powerful, most ruthless family in the country, the Marchetti dynasty. My father commanded an empire built on shadows, absolute power, and the terrifying knowledge that betrayal meant death. I had wealth, security, and a destiny laid out before me, but I craved one impossible thing, an honest life with Michael. I left everything, my inheritance, my safety, my very identity, knowing that the punishment for my defiance was an execution order. I gave up the world for my husband. But what he gave me in return wasn't a future, it was a trap. He wasn't my salvation. He was the gun aimed directly at my head, a spy sent by the enemy. And when I found out the devastating truth, I realized I had to choose, let him destroy me, or destroy the entire world we built together. Before I reveal the terrifying secret of who Michael truly was, the secret that shattered 2 years of beautiful lies, and the reason why I had to betray the only man I ever loved, tell me in the comments, what city are you watching us from? I want to know where my strongest listeners are. And if you believe that survival is the most sacred form of justice, please hit that subscribe button right now to join our community. This is not just a story of betrayal, it's a terrifying story of how I became the victim of a conspiracy hatched by both my husband and my own blood. My name is Amelia Marchetti, or at least, that was my name. My husband was Michael Sterling. When I met Michael, he was everything my life was not. He was a dedicated architect, working long, honest hours on modest city projects. He had clean hands, honest eyes, and a moral compass that pointed due north, a concept my family actively despised. My father, Marco Marchetti, had already arranged my marriage to the son of a rival family to cement a dangerous, highly profitable alliance. When I told Michael I was leaving everything, the family, the security, the future of billions of dollars to be with him, his face shone with an honesty I desperately wanted to believe in. We can start fresh, Amelia. Just us, he promised. That promise, those 2 years, were the happiest, most terrifying time of my life. My escape from the Marchetti compound was not a casual move. It was an elaborate, terrifying operation. Leaving the family meant forfeiting everything and incurring their permanent, lethal wrath. They didn't settle scores in court, they settled them in cemeteries. Yet, for Michael, I walked away from the gilded, dark safety of my life. For 2 blissful years, Michael and I lived in a small, anonymous suburb thousands of miles away. I had found a fragile peace, hiding in plain sight. But the silence was the lie. The price of my escape eventually came due. Michael's financial anxiety began to surface. He started complaining relentlessly about his meager architect's salary and our constant, desperate struggle to stay afloat. He began subtly, lovingly pressuring me about the last vestiges of my old life, a hidden, offshore account that held a small amount of emergency cash I had kept and a few minor, legacy properties still technically in my name from my mother. We need to consolidate, Amelia, he'd say, his voice insistent but cloaked in tender love. We need to sign over everything into my name. It's for tax purposes, darling. For a clean, safe start. We're a team, remember? We trust each other completely. I hesitated deeply. This was the money I was told to keep in case my father's organization ever caught up to me, my only leverage. But Michael's constant, loving insistence, coupled with the security his legal name seemed to offer, slowly and meticulously eroded my resistance. Over a period of 3 agonizing months, I signed over my few remaining assets and documents to Michael. I was left with nothing but the wedding ring on my finger and my absolute, blind trust in him. The first signs that my trust was catastrophically misplaced weren't dramatic incidents. They were cold, calculated slips in his perfect facade. I started finding strange, encrypted emails open on his laptop late at night, emails referencing coded names, targets, and operational logistics, not architectural blueprints. I found a highly sophisticated satellite phone hidden beneath the floorboards in his office, a phone he vehemently denied owning. He began locking his study door, a betrayal of our intimacy, claiming he was working on a secret project for a massive, wealthy client. My heart started to sink with a growing, cold dread, but my brain refused to accept the terrifying, impossible conclusion. The true nightmare began one rainy morning when I discovered a hidden, deeply encrypted folder on his laptop. It wasn't full of architectural plans. It was filled with files, surveillance photos, and detailed operational reports on my family. Specifically, photos of the warehouse where my father ran his most sensitive operations, documents detailing the Marchetti family's illicit contracts, and most chillingly, an official, pristine badge for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. My blood ran colder than any winter day in my former life. Michael was not a simple, struggling architect. He was a highly trained undercover FBI agent. The 2 years of our love story, our new life, had been a meticulously crafted, devastatingly cruel sting operation. I pieced together the horrifying, sickening puzzle. Michael hadn't loved me. He was ordered to investigate me. He knew I was the family's weakest, most emotional link, the one who would walk away and be vulnerable to a charming savior. He married me to gain access to the Marchetti empire, using my signed documentation and my legal identity to infiltrate their complex, hidden financial structures. His goal was never to love me. It was to use me as the key, compromised witness and co-conspirator to bring down my entire criminal family. Every document I signed, every asset I handed over for safety, had been meticulously used to build a federal case against the Marchetti empire and, devastatingly, against me. The tax documents he had me sign under the guise of tax breaks were now irrefutable evidence of my own complicity in severe federal financial crimes. I was trapped in a terrifying double betrayal, betrayed by my family for their criminal life, and utterly betrayed by my husband, the supposed symbol of my freedom, who was using me to save his own career and win an internal promotion. I managed to secretly copy the damning FBI files onto a secure, encrypted drive before Michael returned home. I knew I had only hours before the final, catastrophic stage of his operation, a planned, large-scale FBI raid on my father's warehouse, where Michael intended to hand over the final, crucial documents I had signed. I had 3 impossible choices, each leading to my ruin. Go to the FBI. Michael would be safe and a hero, but I would be imprisoned for my signatures. Go to my family. They would immediately kill Michael, but they would also kill me for leading the FBI to their door. Run, but I had no money, no identity, no documents, and nowhere left in the world to hide. I chose a terrifying 4th option, the triple cross. The only way to survive was to destroy them all before they could destroy me. I contacted the one person who still owed my family a debt, an old, corrupt family lawyer named Mr. Thorne, a man who hated the FBI's influence more than he hated my father's ruthless power. I sent him a package, the FBI files, Michael's undercover identity, and a carefully forged, urgent message from Michael himself, stating that he was about to blow the whole operation and needed Thorne's immediate, discreet help to save the key incriminating documents before the official raid. I was playing both sides against the middle, knowing that my family's priority was always self-preservation. The stage was set for the final, catastrophic confrontation. The FBI raid was scheduled for 3 p.m. at the old Marchetti warehouse. I drove to the warehouse, arriving just moments before the FBI surveillance teams took their hidden positions. Michael was already inside, waiting nervously for his FBI contact, holding the briefcase containing all the signed, final documents. I walked in through the back access door, my face cold and calm, utterly devoid of emotion. "Michael," I said softly, my voice echoing across the empty space. He spun around in a panic, dropping the briefcase in pure, absolute shock. "Amelia? What in God's name are you doing here? You'll ruin everything. You need to leave now." "Ruin your life's work, Michael? Or ruin my life?" I walked slowly towards the briefcase, my eyes locked on his now terrified face. "You didn't marry me for love, Agent Sterling. You married me for my signature. You signed my death warrant, and now I'm signing yours." He started to plead desperately, his professional composure utterly shattered by fear. "Amelia, listen to me. I can protect you. If you leave now, you're a witness, not a suspect. You can still testify." Before he could finish, the main warehouse doors burst open. It wasn't the FBI. It was Mr. Thorne and two large, intimidating security men from my father's inner circle. They had been successfully tipped off by my fake message. "Agent Sterling," Thorne sneered, looking directly at Michael with cold fury. "You shouldn't have been so quick to trust a Marchetti." Michael realized instantly that he had been double-crossed. He was trapped between the criminal family he sought to destroy and the life he tried to build. He frantically grabbed the briefcase, desperate to save his evidence and his career. "Thorne, stop. This is an active FBI investigation. You'll go to federal prison," Michael shouted. But I had played my final card. I reached under my coat and pulled out the small, encrypted tablet containing all the stolen files. I didn't need the FBI or the family's mercy. I needed the world to know the truth. I hit a single, devastating button. "It stops now, Michael," I whispered, tears finally escaping the steel facade of my eyes. "For both of us." The moment I pressed the button, every screen, every digital billboard, every news feed in the entire metropolitan city, including the screens on the FBI surveillance vans parked outside, flashed and lit up with the files I had copied from Michael's laptop. I didn't just expose my family's decades-long crimes. I exposed Michael's entire undercover operation, the identities of his contacts, the FBI's illegal surveillance methods, and the documents I had signed under duress. The whole operation instantly imploded. The FBI agents outside, their cover blown globally, retreated in utter chaos. Thorne's men, seeing their own organization suddenly vulnerable to public scrutiny, abandoned Michael and frantically began destroying their own evidence. Michael, the perfect agent, stood utterly alone in the center of the warehouse, his career destroyed, his life ruined, betrayed by the woman he had meticulously groomed for 2 years. He hadn't just lost his love, he had lost his identity and his freedom. I didn't stay to see him arrested or killed. I grabbed the original briefcase containing my signed documents, my only leverage, and I vanished into the chaos. I left no paper trail, no trace, just the viral image of Michael's shattered, exposed face on every screen in the city. I was finally free, a fugitive from both the FBI and my family, yes, but free from the control and the betrayal. I had left everything for him, believing in his love. But what he did to me forced me to destroy everything, including him, to simply survive. Tell me in the comments, was I right to expose the FBI agent and my own criminal family to save myself? Or was I just as ruthless as my father? I made a choice to survive, but the cost was losing my faith in love forever. What would you have done? And if you believe that sometimes betrayal is the only path to justice, please like the video and share it with a friend who understands the meaning of fighting back. Thank you for listening to my truth.